Hi everybody, it's Sophie again. I'm finally doing the video response to the Q&A session. As you can probably tell, there's been a bit of a background change because I'm now back in Manchester. You can probably see a certain theme going on and I'll let you guess, and there's no prizes for guessing what that theme is. I don't fancy filming myself much today, so I'm just going to show you some pictures and screenshots instead. And stay tuned until the end and I will announce who's won the book. What is your favourite book? And the second part of the question I'm not going to answer, obviously, because the answer is obviously no, don't worry. So in case you hadn't guessed, I love books. I'm practically rolling in them. I can't really pick out my favourite book of all time, but the best three I've read this year, I'd have to say, are My Sister Lives on the Mantelpiece, Dark Parties and One Day. I've posted information on the books below, so if you want to go and buy them, you really should, because they are brilliant. If you could only eat one meal for the rest of your life, what would it be? And the answer has to be gyudon, as it's the most delicious dish ever. I've actually posted a recipe on the blog, so you can look at the video description if you want to learn how to make it. What made you start your epic journey into the odd world of Japanese things? Basically the stuff you talk about in your blog. This is a slightly embarrassing story about why I started writing the blog in the first place. Basically, I graduated from university in summer, and I didn't have a job, like most graduates today. And being a workaholic, I needed to write about something to keep me sane. I love reading about just about anything, and so researching about Japan was definitely the perfect remedy for that. I also hope that in the future I can publish a magazine about Japan and/or write a novel set in Sengoku-era Japan with lots of samurai. I must say your blog took me by surprise. I didn't know what to expect. But you write so well and so in-depth. Plus 1 follower. That leads me to my question. How did you get interested in Japan, anime, etc.? First of all, thank you very much for that, because that's a very nice tweet to read. To answer your actual question, I can't really pinpoint the moment I got interested in Japan, but I think it more or less started off when I borrowed my sister's manga, which was called Fruits Basket, which I'm sure a lot of you have heard of. It also didn't help that it was summertime and there was a Beyblade marathon on and we had nothing better to do, so we watched the entire series, and that was a very, very long summer. A couple of years later I was 15 and I had to go into hospital for surgery on my spine for something called scoliosis. I'm fine now, there's no problem, but basically I had to go into hospital for it. And at the time I met a girl called Louise who was the same age as me, and she'd had the same operation. And we got on very well, and then I met some friends through her who went to the MCM Expo, which obviously is a honeypot for geeks. So I went along and the rest is basically history. I got into the anime and then I learnt more about the history, and because I'm a history student I started buying a lot of books when I really should have been studying for my course. What is the weirdest or most annoying thing an otaku can do? Now, I'm going to answer this diplomatically because I don't want to offend anybody. Otaku in Japan literally refers to anyone with obsessive interests in anime, manga or video games, and that's more or less what it means over here too. Basically geek. I actually don't use the word otaku to describe myself because I'm a geek for other things too. Then again, if you look at my bedroom in Manchester, I can see why people might call me that. I think the only thing that an otaku can do to annoy me is to act like they've got a degree in being an otaku. Saying things like, "You mean you haven't watched Neon Genesis Evangelion? Get out of my life, you fake fan. You're a geek." That's the end of it. So that's all the time we've got for questions today, and now it's time to draw the winner for the book. I've put all of the names into a random list generator, and the winner is Landorian. So I've contacted you on Twitter, and hopefully you will soon be replying to my email and you will send me your address, and that is the book, and that is the competition over. The next competition will be in January, and in fact I've got 2 competitions just because I'm that very generous. So stay tuned, please subscribe to the blog if you haven't already, and you'll be the first to hear about the next competition. All that's left to say is, of course, Merry Christmas.